Good afternoon, almost. We're quite almost on the
Not
East
quite.
Coast. We're almost there. Hope everybody's having a great day. Oh my goodness, this is my most favorite time of year. Fall is not only in the air, it's like here. And
Mhm.
this coming week in Tennessee, we're supposed to have some great weather, maybe a little bit of rain, but temperature wise, a whole lot better. This is like the time of year I thrive. I love it. And hopefully we're going to go camping in the next few days. Kids are on fall break coming up, and it is such a beautiful time of year. Love getting outside. And so we kind of have, as we're diving in tonight, the fall season. We've got fall fires on the mind. And it kind of
Mhm.
prompted in us a really important discussion, which is what do we do if the fire in our marriage seems like it's dimmed to some degree, or maybe it feels like it's almost gone. And so what do we do if we're trying to rekindle that fire? And so we're going to talk about that today. And if that's you, this is exactly the place that you need to be.
Yes. Hey, everybody. We are Scott and Rachel. We help committed Christian couples finally end the cycles of conflict, negativity, and disconnection and reclaim the love, passion, and playfulness that they once had. So, if you're in our Facebook group and you're watching, give us a hello and let us know you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd love for you to subscribe and like it and share the video if this would help somebody else and we could spend more time together. Our mission and hope is to provide help and hope for Christian marriages, because we know there's a huge target on the backs of marriages, and our marriage was under fire for many years. So we want to talk about this idea of rekindling the flame, because often in a marriage, the longer you've been married, either your flame is getting hotter or it's growing colder.
Exactly.
And so there's many reasons why the flame can dwindle.
That's
Well,
right.
that sun is getting bright, isn't
The
it?
sun has come, and it is officially now afternoon. It's 12:01.
Oh, now
so
it is. Okay.
The timing is good. So yeah, you're right, Rachel. And this really came to my heart and mind as I was coaching one of our awesome clients, and it was just like, where they were at in their marriage, and we're helping them to see is that they're in the process of rekindling the hope, rekindling that fire. In some ways, it was saying, guys, it feels like the fire might have gone out in some ways. But the reality of the situation is we're trying to find the perfect kindling. When you're trying to build a fire, you don't have time for leaves. And here comes a mower, of course. You don't have time for leaves. You don't have time for small stuff. You don't have, small stuff. You don't have time for the wet kindling or the stuff that's not going to work. If you're caring for a fire, and maybe you're realizing that the embers are almost gone, or if you have like just a few matches to light that fire, you're going to get the very best of the fine pieces. You're not going to get like grass, you're going to get fine pieces of wood. And then you're going to also have ready the next pieces in place, ready to go when the fire starts. And many of us are in that place where we're trying to rekindle the fire. And the fire is the passion, it is the love, but more than anything else, I think for the Christian couple, it is the hope of what things could be, because we are a people of hope.
Yes, absolutely. So let me ask you a question, guys. If when you were on your honeymoon, did it feel like that fire of passion and love for each other was growing, was strong and growing, but over time it has started to dwindle? Or does it feel like that fire is actually starting to just grow cold and you're wondering if the embers are just going to burn out and the love is going to be gone and that's going to be the end of it? Right? There's so many reasons that the fire will dwindle. And let's just talk about the most obvious thing. How does any fire dwindle? It's when you stop feeding it what it needs, when you stop putting the logs on. Any good campfire is so fun. And when you like to get down to the coals when you roast your marshmallows, but if you quit adding the coals, and if you quit adding the fuel, and if you quit breathing on it and quit giving it that oxygen, you know that it's going to die out. And the same thing is true in our love and our passion and our marriages. And guys, if we're going to have a God-honoring marriage, why are we not stoking the fire? Why are we not working? Why do we think it's just going to automatically just stay burning hot when we're not doing anything to promote that? So what are some of those reasons that the fire will start to dwindle?
Oh my goodness, there's tons. But really, I think the one that people are most feeling right now in this day and age is they're feeling stressed out. And it's like when you're stressed out and you live in that space and life is constantly got all the pressures and you're focused on the pressures. Like you forgot that in marriage, you should be making some s'mores, like that there should be marshmallows on the fire, that there should be some fun here. Right. And it's like you're so busy on everything else, and the fire has slowly begun to fade. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen in a day. It happens over time. And unless someone's tending to the fire, unless both of you are tending to the fire, it's going to slowly begin to fade. And the stress, guys, it could be stress at work, stress with the kids, health stress. I mean, we could go on and on with the types of stress. Of course, everybody's feeling it to some degree in the world we live in today, but stress is a big one.
Yeah, it is. Another big one is, I think, our schedules, right?
Yeah,
I don't know who told us along the way that busyness equals happiness and success, that we were told that if you can pack your schedule and just stay really, really busy, your life will be happy and full. And where did our margins go, right? Where did that space go in our schedule where we have some downtime built in, where we don't have every minute booked and we're double booked and overbooked, right? The schedule, when you're not scheduling time together as a couple, when you've got all these meetings and all these things and you're carting your kids on 7 different directions all the time, and there's no schedule for date night, there's no schedule for time to hang out with your spouse, there's no time for going away for the weekend, or investing in time in your marriage. How could the fire grow? Right? What happens in life is what we schedule. And look at your calendar, and that will give you a big indication of how much of a priority your marriage is.
That's so true. And similar to that, it's like even with sex, like sometimes you never imagine this when you first get married, that you could actually be too tired for sex. Oh my goodness. But man, midlife hits you, and it's like things are different then, right?
Or that you have to schedule it.
And some people think, well, I wish it was the passion that we had before, and schedule equals no passion. Well, actually, we find that people that take time to schedule it actually find more satisfaction in that area of passion. So but absolutely, that sex is the culmination of all the intimacy that God has called us to. I mean, marriage is emotional connection, it's spiritual connection, but physical connection is really, really important too. And sometimes, we talk about it as the glue that God gave to us to kind of hold us together in marriage, because it is something that makes us feel closer together. And maybe you're not able to get there because of all the other intimacy issues, but it is super important if we can, and we're making sure that we're getting there. But if we're too tired and it's not an important thing, then it's like, well, maybe tomorrow.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow.
Right.
And similar to that is like we're just busy with our kids.
Absolutely. How many of us have multiple kids in multiple activities
and multiple schools?
And you're a chauffeur. Guys, it's important that you as a couple really determine and decide what in the world is what you're going to allow, and how much is too much, and how much should you schedule. Because honestly, guys, if you are worried more about getting your children to all of their activities so that you feel great as a parent, and you have scheduled no time with your spouse, our priorities are way out of whack, and that fire will dwindle for sure.
Yeah, and so guys, I hope you're getting the picture. Obviously, there's a lot of different things. We can talk about the sickness. Maybe you've got sick, maybe you've been injured, and life is a little bit more difficult. Maybe there's a constant health problem that you're dealing with, whatever it would be. Maybe, guys, it could be disappointments. It could be, disappointments at work, in your career, disappointments with extended family or with your children, whatever it would be. But one of the big things, guys, that we see is conflict that happens without resolution. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's that you're arguing. Maybe it's that you're trying to be more kind. You're trying to be kind in the situation. And you're like, well, let's talk about that later. And you guys aren't dealing with some things. And it builds up a frustration, even if you're being honorable people. Oftentimes, especially when you're honorable people, that you're not dealing with things properly. And then it starts to build. And pretty soon, it's like there's like a division between you. And it can feel almost like contempt. Yeah. And what is contempt?
Contempt is one of those 4 marriage killers that John Gottman talks about. Contempt, criticism, defensiveness, and stonewalling. These will kill your marriage. These will pour water right on that fire. And so if you don't have the skill set to be able to resolve conflict, and if you don't know how to engage with conflict without withdrawing or getting defensive, or stonewalling, and just which in turn frustrates the snot out of your spouse, right? If you don't have that skill set, that stuff will basically be pouring water on your fire, and pretty soon it will burn out.
Yeah, and contempt is a sneaky one. We could have talked about the other ones, but contempt is like you're not giving to each other what you need. Maybe the conflict, you guys are not able to resolve things, is built up, and it creeps in there, and it's like pretty soon you go from being in love to, over time, it's just like, well, what if there was, somebody else maybe, or what if what in the context of marriage, like maybe they're all the problem because I'm frustrated with them, and that contempt can just be, man, so divisive, and the evil one can really take a hold of that and make things way worse.
Yeah, and then what starts to happen is you start to put meaning on what the other person is doing and interpret their motives, and start to say, well, you did this because you feel that way, or and we start to put on what we are thinking onto our spouse. And that's a big one that will, again, pour water on the marriage, and those flames will die out.
Yeah. So how, guys, everybody's out there asking, like, how do we get that fire going again? And that really is the heart of it. And really the short answer, and we're going to talk about this, is you need to rekindle it. We've got to get that fire burning again. And maybe for some of you out there, it's just, maybe it feels like maybe you haven't prioritized the marriage the right way. Maybe it feels like the flame is just diminished some. And if that's the case, maybe you just need to add some logs to the fire. Maybe you need to prioritize the two of you. Maybe you need to make some s'mores together. Like, seriously, just have fun together. Like, when you got married, you thought about all the things that you would do together, the trips and the fun. And you remember how much fun you used to have just taking a hike or playing a board game. Like, the two of you need to be having fun together. Yes, with the kids, but certainly the two of you. What are some of those other logs that you could put on the fire?
Well, yeah, maybe you need a weekend away or a weekend retreat, or you could read a book together that would strengthen your marriage. These are some of the big logs that, if the fire's going okay, and again, every marriage needs this. Every marriage needs you continually adding to it. If you're not regularly getting away, if you're not regularly having a date night, if you're not regularly having good communication, then these are the logs you need to start adding back into your marriage. These are the ones that you're going to really need to. But maybe for some of you, you've really gotten into really deep ruts where now you just interpret everything the other person does as criticism, or as negative, or as coming against you, or you're viewing things through a completely different lens. And now you're starting to have animosity, and there's more conflict. And maybe it's just like, is this even worth it? Okay, this is where you guys are down to the embers, and now it's time to get real help.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, if you see the flames dying out and you don't know, especially if you feel hopeless in it. And guys, one of the things that we'd want to say, first of all, is that God is a God of hope. That's who he is. Like, it doesn't matter what's stacked against you. He is literally the God of miracles. Sometimes if you look at your life and you haven't seen the miracles you hoped for or prayed for, it doesn't change who he is. It doesn't change that he is capable of doing far more than we could ask or imagine, because that is in his character. That's who he is. So that's very, very important. So if we look unto him, guys, look unto the one who is hope. That is really the theme here, is hope has to be rekindled. It's like believing that things actually could be different again. And how do we rekindle a fire? It's not you throw a log on it. That is not going to work. It's not just a simple date night. It's not going to be, a book that you're going to read that's going to change things like that. It's not. In fact, sometimes if you put a big log on a little fire or on embers, it might even put the fire out.
Right.
So it's so important that we delicately add the right kindling to the fire so that we can rekindle it. You don't put on wet stuff. You don't just throw leaves on there. It might make smoke. That's what the kids would do a lot of times when you're trying to build a fire, and it's not going to work very well. And so the first thing I would say, guys, is this: if you're trying to rekindle things and you're thinking about what I need most of all, that is the wrong recipe. That is not going to work most likely. If you're trying to be very, very careful to do what is the best for building this fire, the number one question you could ask is, what do they need? What does my spouse need? And understand it, guys, just because, men, you know what you need does not mean that that's what she needs. Men and women are different. And same with you. You if you were in that position, you would not be thinking, what do you need? It really is, what is it that he needs? And understand the key word is need. Your wife has needs, your husband has needs. And if you're not meeting them, you're taking water and pouring it on the fire. And it's not going to work. And that's why it's really, really important that we put the very best kindling on that fire. Constantly asking God for help. Constantly leaning on him. I love John Piper that he said one time, one of the prayers that they had, he and his wife, was they had nothing else to pray because they felt so defeated, was just, God help us. And how profound. Yeah. How profound. And looking unto God is looking unto hope. And we need to make sure that that is the thing that's right in place. But guys, understand that putting God first is great. Prayer is massively important, but that in itself is not a strategy. And if you're realizing that things are not working right, you're not going to just pray things to be fixed. You're not just going to go to church and then things are going to be fixed. And so sure about that, Rachel.
Yeah, because it's really about a set of skills that you have to have in a marriage in order to navigate things. There's the right heart set, right? That you've got to have the right emotional home, the right ability to connect with another person, the right ability to have empathy and regulate your own emotional state so that you're not a roller coaster and difficult to be around, right? And then it's about really having the right mindset. You've got to have the skill set to say, how am I thinking about this? How am I interpreting this? What am I believing about this? What am I making all of this to mean? That's where the power of transformational coaching is so incredibly powerful. Yes. Because it can help take the scales off and help you to see things from a completely different different point of view. Right. And then not just the right heart set and the right mindset, but then the right skill set, right? What are the skills we need in marriage? We need communication skills. We need conflict resolution skills. We need prioritization skills and how to set goals together and how to navigate this so that we can build this fire back and have this fire burning hot again.
Yeah.
Guys, God's design and his plan for marriage is for you to thrive, for it to be a place of love and connection, a place of passion. This is like the gift he gave of sex is for marriage. It is for us. And so if we are discarding all of that and we're believing the worst about God and what he says about us, and this is so restrictive and I can't live like this and this is no fair and why are you this way? These are the lenses that are not going to help you to rebuild that fire. And so that's what the power of transformational coaching is. And that is the skill set that Scott and I have developed because it's been our passion for a while now to be able to walk alongside Christian couples and really encourage them because we know how awful and dark it is when you are stuck in despair and hopelessness and disconnection and frustration.
Yeah. And this is where I want to share even some hope. If you're thinking, well, we've tried things like we did the counseling a couple times. It didn't work for us. We've read the books. We've tried the Sunday school class. It didn't seem like he wants to move. Doesn't seem like she wants to change. Like if you're sitting there feeling hopeless, we're here to tell you what we've found. It's very interesting and consistently we see it is if you have the right kindling, wow. It doesn't take much to get those embers to turn into a flame, and then we start to fan it, and we love doing that. Is helping the couple to fan it. And what happens when you have the right kindling in place? Then you start adding the bigger stuff, and then bigger stuff, and then eventually you're getting to the logs, and sure enough, you have a raging fire at that point. And things can be so different, very very quickly, way faster than you would even imagine sometimes, and that's what we see consistently with the couples that we work with.
Absolutely. And so if you're out camping and you have a fire and it's starting to dwindle, if you're sitting around going, I wonder if we should do something about this, or wonder if we should add some logs. Well, it's no fair. Last time we used leaves and it was all smoky and I just sat there and the smoke blew in my eyes all day. I don't want to do that. If the indecision is probably what is keeping that fire dwindling more and more. And so what we have found true is that it's being decisive and saying it's time now to rekindle the flame. It's time now to start figuring out what is the kindling, what are those logs I need to start adding back. Because we have found that those who are decisive in saying we are committed now to fixing this, those are the ones that really are able to get the outcome. Because the sitting around and wondering and praying and wondering if this is it or that's it, it's like that doesn't work.
Right.
It's that decisiveness. So we just want to encourage you guys, decide now to rekindle that flame, whatever it takes. Maybe you just need some of the smaller tools, but maybe you need some massive help. And that's why we've created our masterclass for you.
Yeah.
Tell
them about it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the 5 simple shifts that Christian couples can make to get a quick and lasting turnaround in their marriage, completely fall back in love again. Okay, guys. And so this is what we have for you. If you go to turnaroundmarriage.com/class, you can find that master class and you can check it out. And this is what we're all about in terms of helping our clients. It's everything that we've learned in the last 25 years of being married and 20 plus years of working with families and couples, and what we wish we had known years ago that we really didn't, and we got stuck on it. So that's our gift to you. Our hope and prayer is that we can help you with help and hope for your Christian marriage.
Yeah, and let me just add to, yes, we want you to check that out, but maybe you're on here today and you're thinking, okay, but we need help like yesterday. Like we're going down a path quickly and it's not pretty. And we want to encourage you. We do what we call a free breakthrough call, and we've got very limited spots available even in the next 2 weeks. Like we've really packed the schedule. But what we do in that call is talk about what's not working, talk about where you hope things can go, and a path to get there. And if we can help, we would absolutely talk about what that would look like. If there's something better, something else we'd recommend, we're going to love you, serve you, and point you in that direction. But either way, you're going to get clarity about exactly what you need to do next to get back the marriage you're hoping for. So you can find that at turnaroundmarriage.com/call, and just pick a time that works and fill out that questionnaire. And we look forward to serving you. Yeah. So as we're roasting under the hot sun, talking about fire, we're going to wish you guys well. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Yep. Have a good day, everybody.
God bless.